The front door slammed open like a gunshot in the silent snow, shattering the illusion of holiday cheer before it could even settle. Ethan Hargrove stood there, breath fogging the frigid December air. His leather jacket dusted white from the blizzard outside, eyes locked on the family he'd sworn off years ago, until tonight. "Merry fucking Christmas," he spat, voice raw as the wind howling behind him. "You forgot to invite the gay son you buried alive in your prayers." His mother, Evelyn, dropped the crystal punch ladle into the silver bowl, the clink echoing like a death knell through the living room of their Elmwood Heights ranch house. The scent of pine from the over-decorated tree mingled with roasting turkey and the faint metallic tang of unspoken regrets. Ethan's father, Harlan, rose from his recliner, face reddening under the string lights. But it wasn't Ethan who stole the breath from the room. It was the man stepping in beside him, tall, shadowed, with a ghost of a smile that cut deeper than any knife. Max Riley. The name alone hung in the air like smoke from a fire they thought long extinguished. Evelyn's hand flew to her throat, pearls clicking against her cashmere sweater. "Ethan? What in God's name? It's Christmas Eve. We didn't think you'd come." Her voice cracked, eyes darting past him to Max, who lingered in the doorway like a specter invited by mistake. Snow melting off his boots onto the welcome mat that read "Home, Sweet Home." Harlan cleared his throat, the old Marine in him barking orders even in retreat. "Boy, this ain't the time. We've got family here, folks from church. You can't just barge in like what, Dad? Like the prodigal son you excommunicated." Ethan's laugh was bitter, hollow, bouncing off the walls lined with framed photos of happier times. Before he came out at 17, before the whispers turned to shouts, before they shipped him off to straighten out at a conversion camp that left scars deeper than Max's. He shrugged off his jacket, revealing the faded rainbow pin on his flannel shirt, a deliberate fuck you to the nativity scene glowing on the mantel. "We're not here to ruin your eggnog. We're here for the truth. The one you've been hiding since Max was 16. The room froze. Aunt Clara, perched on the floral sofa with a plate of gingerbread balanced on her knee, gasped audibly, her bifocals slipping down her nose. Uncle Ray paused mid-sip of his bourbon, the ice clinking like accusations. Cousins milled in the kitchen, their chatter dying as the weight of the moment seeped through the swinging door. No one moved. No one breathed. Max finally stepped forward, his presence filling the space like a storm cloud rolling in over the Iowa plains. He was broader than Ethan remembered from their chance reunion at that dive bar in Des Moines last summer. Shoulders honed from years hauling freight on the railroads, eyes the color of Lake Michigan after a squall. But there was a weariness there, etched in the lines around his mouth, the way his fingers twitched as if still fighting ghosts. "Evening, folks," he said, voice low and steady, laced with that South Side Chicago drawl that always made Ethan's pulse stutter. "Harlan, Evelyn, been a long time." Harlan's face drained of color, the veins in his neck bulging like roots under cracked earth. "You got no business here, boy. Not after what I did." Max's chuckle was dark, dangerous, cutting through the holiday music crooning Silent Night from the stereo. He locked eyes with Harlan, unflinching. Funny how memory works when you're the one holding the matches. Ethan's heart hammered, a mix of rage and something softer. Protectiveness, maybe love, the kind that had bloomed fierce and fast between them over stolen weekends in motel rooms and late-night drives along Route 80. He'd found Max by accident, nursing a beer at O'Malley's after a brutal shift at the auto plant. Both of them nursing wounds from lives that chewed men like them up and spat out the bones. One conversation led to two, then confessions under starless skies, and now this, a reckoning wrapped in tinsel and lies. But to understand why they were here, crashing this sacred farce of a family gathering, you had to go back. Back to the summer of 2007, when Ethan was 15 and the world still felt like it might bend to his dreams. Elmwood Heights was the kind of small-town America where football Fridays lit up the gridiron and church basements smelled of Jell-O salads and judgment. The Hargroves were pillars. Harlan, the stern high school principal who'd served 2 tours in Nam. Evelyn, the homemaker who baked pies for the bake sale and prayed extra rosaries for wayward souls. Their only son, Ethan, was the golden boy varsity quarterback, straight-A student, the kid who volunteered at the food pantry because it looked good on college apps. Then there was Max Riley, the foster kid shuffled into their home like an afterthought. Harlan's brother had died young, leaving a mess of debts and a teenage nephew with a rap sheet for petty theft and a mouth that wouldn't quit. Family helps family, Harlan had grumbled. Clearing out the attic for Max's lumpy mattress and hand-me-down clothes, Ethan remembered the first night. Max slouched in the kitchen doorway, all sharp elbows and guarded stares, 17 and already carrying the weight of too many closed doors. First, it was awkward. Ethan showed him the ropes, where the good fishing spots were on the Cedar River, how to sneak beers from Uncle Ray's garage without getting caught. Max was quiet, watchful, with a laugh that rumbled like thunder when he let it loose. They bonded over shared silences, skipping stones and dreaming of escaping to Chicago or LA. Anywhere the air didn't taste like cornfields and conformity. But Ethan felt it first in the pit of his stomach, that pull. The way Max's hand brushed his when passing a basketball, the electric hum when their eyes met across the dinner table, terrified him. He was the good son, the one destined for Northwestern on a scholarship, not the queer kid who'd end up disowned. So he buried it deep under layers of denial and distraction. Max knew. Of course he did. Boys like them always did. One humid July night, after a bonfire party where the fireflies danced like lost souls, they ended up in the hayloft of the old barn behind the house. The air was thick with the scent of alfalfa and possibility. Max had leaned in, breath warm against Ethan's ear. "You ever think about it? Us?" Ethan's world tilted. He nodded, heart slamming, and then Max's lips were on his, rough, urgent, tasting of stolen whiskey and freedom. It was clumsy, fervent, the kind of kiss that rewires your soul. Hands fumbling in the dark, whispers turning to gasps. They crossed a line neither could uncross. For 3 weeks, it was paradise. Stolen moments in the woods, notes slipped into jacket pockets, a secret language of glances that made the ordinary electric. Until it shattered. Harlan found the note first, a scrap of paper in Max's jeans pocket. "Meet me by the river. Can't stop thinking about last night." Innocent enough to anyone else, but Harlan knew. He'd always known, with that predator's instinct for weakness. He confronted Max in the garage, fists clenched, voice a venomous hiss. "You think you can turn my boy? Poison him with your filthy ways? I took you in, gave you a roof, and this is how you repay me." Max stood his ground, chin up, but he was 17 and cornered. "It ain't like that, Uncle Harlan. It's real. We're real." Harlan's laugh was ice. "Real? You're a goddamn mistake, boy. A foster trash with ideas above his station. You touch him again, and I'll bury you." It escalated fast. Evelyn walked in on them once, in the laundry room. Nothing more than a lingering hug, but her scream could have woken the dead. "What are you doing to my son?" she wailed, clutching her cross necklace like a shield. The church elders were called. Whispers spread like wildfire through the congregation. By August, Max was gone. Packed off to a reform program in Ohio, courtesy of Harlan's connections, with threats of juvie if he ever came back. Ethan was told it was a family decision for everyone's good. They gaslit him. Max had stolen money, run off with some girl from the diner, left a note saying he was done with small-town bullshit. Ethan believed it at first because what choice did he have? The pain carved him hollow. He threw himself into football, buried the grief under touchdowns and acceptance letters. Coming out at 17 was his rebellion. A scream into the void that got him a one-way ticket to that hellish camp in the Ozarks, where prayer warriors tried to beat the gay out of him with Bible verses and isolation. He emerged scarred, angry, cutting ties with Elmwood Heights the day he turned 18. Hitchhiking to Chicago with $200 in his pocket and a backpack full of rage. Life in the Windy City was a grind. Ethan bounced between dead-end jobs, barista, line cook, eventually landing at the auto plant welding frames for trucks that would never carry him anywhere. He dated sporadically, flings that fizzled under the weight of his walls. Until Max. It was June, 6 months ago, at O'Malley's, a sticky-floored joint where the jukebox played Springsteen on loop. Ethan was 3 whiskeys in, staring at the rain-smeared window, when the door swung open and there he was. Max, older, harder, but unmistakably him. The scar on his cheek from a bar fight in Cleveland. The same lopsided grin that had haunted Ethan's dreams. "You look like shit, Hargrove," Max had said, sliding onto the stool beside him. "You look like a ghost." Ethan shot back, but his voice broke. They talked until last call, unraveling 20 years of lies. Max had escaped the reform program after 6 months. Hitchhiked west, then east again, chasing ghosts of what-ifs. Harlan's connections had included a payoff to keep him quiet. A pittance and a gag order disguised as charity. The theft story? Fabricated. The girl? A fiction to save face. Max had written letters from Ohio, begging Ethan to run away with him, but Harlan intercepted them, burned them in the backyard fire pit. "Why didn't you fight harder?" Ethan had whispered, tears stinging as they stumbled into Max's cramped apartment above a laundromat. "Because I thought you believed them," Max admitted, pulling him close. "Thought you chose the easy path." That night, under the hum of the L train rattling overhead, they reclaimed what was stolen. It was slow, tentative, fingers tracing old scars, apologies murmured against skin. By morning, it was love, the bone-deep kind that doesn't ask permission. They moved in together 2 months later, a 1-bedroom in Pilsen with mismatched furniture and dreams of opening a mechanic shop someday. Max fixed cars. Ethan welded them. Simple, solid. But the holidays loomed like a storm. Ethan's invite never came. No card, no call, just radio silence from Elmwood Heights. Evelyn's annual newsletter arrived instead, gushing about Harlan's retirement golf league and the grandkids from Aunt Clara's side, with a single line buried in the fine print. "Prayers for all our wandering sheep this season." "Fuck him," Ethan had said, crumpling it. But Max saw the hurt, the ache that festered like an open wound. "Go back," Max urged one night, as they lay tangled in sheets smelling of motor oil and takeout Thai. "Confront it. With me. Let him see what they broke and what we built." Ethan resisted, then relented. The drive from Chicago to Iowa was 6 hours of white-knuckled silence. The radio tuned to classic rock to drown out the doubts. Snow started falling halfway, fat flakes that turned the highway into a blur. By the time they pulled up to the curb outside 142 Oakwood Lane, the neighborhood was a postcard of festivity. Icicle lights dripping from eaves, inflatable Santas nodding in yards, the Hargrove house aglow like it was auditioning for a Hallmark movie. And now here they were, the uninvited storming the castle. Evelyn recovered first, smoothing her apron with trembling hands. "Ethan, please, come in, both of you. It's cold. We can talk." Harlan shot her a glare, but the fight was leaking out of him, deflated by the sight of Max, living proof of his sins. "Fine, but this changes nothing." "Oh, it changes everything," Ethan said, stepping inside, Max's hand warm in his. The door clicked shut behind them, sealing in the chaos. As the family shuffled into uneasy positions, cousins peeking from the kitchen, Uncle Ray pouring extra bourbon, Aunt Clara broke the ice with forced cheer. "Well, boys, sit down. Turkey's getting cold. Tell us about Chicago. You still playing ball, Ethan?" But the questions were daggers, probing for weakness. Ethan answered in clipped tones, his free hand never leaving Max's under the table. Max ate little, his eyes on Harlan, who avoided them like the plague. Conversation skirted the edges. Weather, politics, safe territory, Trump's latest tweet storm, the Packers' slim playoff chances. But the air thickened with every tick of the grandfather clock in the hall. It was after pie, when the men retreated to the den for coffee and the women cleared plates, that the dam cracked. Harlan cornered Ethan by the fireplace, the Yule log crackling like suppressed gunfire. "What the hell do you think you're doing, son? Bringing him here? After all this time?" Ethan's blood boiled. "After all this time? You mean after you lied to me? Shipped him off like garbage because he loved the wrong person?" Harlan's whisper was venom. "I protected you. From scandal. From ruin. This town's got rules, Ethan. You think I wanted? You wanted a son who fit your Bible-thumping mold. Ethan hissed back. Newsflash, Dad. I'm gay. Deal with it. Max appeared in the doorway, silent sentinel, his presence a shield. Harlan's eyes flicked to him, then away, guilt flickering like the flames. Maxwell, you got a good life now? Left all that confusion behind? Max's smile was a blade. Confusion? You mean love? Yeah, uncle. I found it again. With your son. The word uncle landed like a slap. Harlan recoiled, coffee sloshing over the rim of his mug. From the kitchen, Evelyn's voice called faintly, "Dessert served." But no one moved. That was when Ethan dropped the bomb they'd driven through the storm to deliver. We're getting married, Dad. Next summer. In Chicago. And you're invited if you can stomach it. The room erupted. Shouts from the hall, plates clattering. Aunt Clara wailed about the sanctity of marriage. Uncle Ray muttered something about kids these days. But Evelyn crossed the room in a rustle of skirts, tears streaming, and pulled Ethan into a hug that smelled of vanilla and vanilla regret. Oh, my boy, she sobbed. I never stopped praying. For forgiveness. For you. Ethan stiffened, then softened, the boy in him craving the warmth he'd lost. Max watched, expression unreadable, as the family fractured and reformed around them. Tentative truces in the glow of the tree. But Harlan stormed out to the garage, the door banging like thunder. Ethan followed, Max at his heels, the snow now a full-blown whiteout swirling around the floodlit driveway. Dad, wait! Harlan whirled, face twisted in the harsh light. You think this fixes it? Parading your sin in my house. It's not sin, Max said quietly, stepping forward. It's us, what you tried to kill. Harlan's eyes narrowed, the old rage bubbling. I did what I had to, for the family, for God. And then, in the whipping wind, Max told the truth they'd unearthed together. Letters from the reform camp, a faded photo of the two boys by the river, a confession from a former church deacon who'd overheard Harlan's threats. You didn't just send me away, Uncle. You paid off the program to cure me. Electroshock, beatings, all because I kissed your son. Harlan staggered back against the workbench, tools clattering to the concrete floor. Lies, all lies. But Ethan saw it, the crack in the armor, the flicker of shame. It's over, Dad. No more hiding. The three men stood there, snow burying their boots, the weight of decades pressing down. Harlan's shoulders slumped, the fight gone. Get out, he whispered. Both of you. They left, but not before Evelyn slipped a tin of cookies into Ethan's coat pocket, her eyes pleading come back. The drive home was quiet, the radio off, Max's hand on Ethan's thigh the only anchor. Little did they know, the real storm was just beginning. The blizzard chased them all the way back to Chicago, tires hydroplaning on black ice as the Impala's wipers slapped futilely against the onslaught. Ethan gripped the wheel, knuckles white, the tin of Evelyn's oatmeal raisins rattling in the glove box like a guilty secret. Max stared out at the white void, his silence heavier than the snow piling on the hood. You okay? Ethan finally asked, voice barely above the engine's growl. Max turned, his profile sharp against the dashboard glow. Yeah, just seeing him again, like staring down a loaded gun. Ethan nodded, throat tight. He'd felt it too, the pull of blood ties warring with the blade of betrayal. Harlan's face in the garage light, that mix of fury and fracture, had cracked something in him. Hope, or just the last illusion of family. They made it to Pilsen by dawn, the city a ghost town under fresh powder. Their building on 18th Street loomed like a weary sentinel, fire escapes buried in drifts. Inside, the apartment was a cocoon of warmth, space heater humming, the faint scent of yesterday's pozole lingering from the taqueria downstairs. Max kicked off his boots, peeled away damp layers, and collapsed onto the sagging couch, pulling Ethan down with him. Merry Christmas, Max murmured, lips brushing Ethan's temple. Ethan laughed, a watery sound. Best one yet. Family drama, Near-death drive. Hallmarks got nothing on us. They made love then, slow and deliberate, reclaiming the night from the cold. Max's hands mapped Ethan's body like a mechanic troubleshooting an engine, gentle, knowing, coaxing sparks from rusted parts. Afterward, tangled in thrift store quilts, Ethan traced the scar on Max's cheek. Tell me about the camp. The real story. I need to know. Max's eyes darkened, but he didn't pull away. It was hell, chain link fences, group therapy, where they'd make us watch straight porn and recite verses. Flee from sexual immorality, they said, while shocking us if we didn't get hard for the girls on screen. He paused, voice steady but laced with old pain. Harlan visited once, brought a Bible, told me if I confessed and stayed away, he'd wire money for a fresh start. I told him to shove it. That's when the beatings ramped up. Ethan's stomach twisted, bile rising. And the theft lie? How'd he spin that? Easy. Said I stole from your mom's jewelry box to fund my deviant lifestyle. Church bought it hook, line, and sinker. By the time I busted out, climbed the fence during a storm, hitchhiked to my aunts in Gary, they'd already poisoned you against me. I searched for you, Ethan whispered, after I got out of my own camp, hired a PI with my first paycheck. He found nothing. Harlan must have buried it deep. Max cupped his face, thumb stroking the stubble. Hey, we're here now. That's what matters. But sleep evaded them, the ceiling fan whirring like accusatory whispers. By morning, the city awoke to canceled flights and shovels scraping sidewalks. Ethan called in sick to the plant. First time in 2 years, while Max fired up the coffee pot, their routine a bomb against the ache. They spent the day cocooned, binging It's a Wonderful Life on the rabbit-eared TV, laughing at Jimmy Stewart's bumbling angel while snow piled against the window. Max cooked breakfast, eggs over easy, bacon crisp as his sarcasm, and they talked dreams. The shop, Riley and Hargrove Auto, a haven for queer mechanics in Boys Town, fixing rides for the community. Adoption someday, maybe a kid from the system like Max once was. Names brainstormed over mimosas from bottom shelf bubbly. Riley for a boy, Harper for a girl. But the tin of cookies gnawed at Ethan. Around noon, he cracked it open, the scent of cinnamon flooding the room. Mom's recipe, the one she taught me when I was 10. He bit into one, crumbs tumbling, and the floodgates opened, memories of flour-dusted counters, her humming Frosty the Snowman, Harlan's rare praise for a fine batch son. Max watched, expression soft. Call her. Ethan hesitated, phone heavy in his hand. What if she sides with him again? Then we know. But you deserve the truth. From her, too. The line rang twice before Evelyn picked up, voice tentative amid clinking dishes. Ethan? Oh, thank God. I was so worried. The roads, the storm. Mom. His voice cracked. About last night. That. I know, baby. He told me everything. After you left, he sat in that garage till 3 a.m., staring at old photos. Cried like I haven't seen since your grandpa died. Pause, sniffles muffled. He was wrong, Ethan. So wrong. Protecting the family? It was protecting his pride. His image. Ethan's chest loosened, a knot unraveling. And Max? You knew what they did to him. A sob escaped her. Suspected. Harlan swore it was for the best. A Christian correction. I turned a blind eye. God, I'm so sorry. For both of you. They talked for an hour, halting at first, then pouring out like rain after drought. Evelyn confessed her own doubts. The therapy she'd sought in secret. The letters she'd written to Ethan at camp and burned out of fear. Come back, she pleaded. New Year's. Just us. No church, no uncles. Let me make it right. Ethan glanced at Max, who nodded, eyes shining. We'll think about it, Mom. Love you. Love you more, my boy. And Max. Tell him I'm baking his favorite snickerdoodles next time. Hanging up, Ethan felt lighter, unburdened. They toasted with cold coffee, the future cracking open like eggshells. But peace was fleeting. 2 days later, Christmas morning dawned crisp and clear. The the city sparkling under a rare blue sky. Ethan and Max bundled up for a walk in Grant Park. Hot chocolate from a vendor, mittened hands swinging as they crunched through snowdrifts. Kids sled on the hills, their shrieks mingling with carols from a distant brass band. Felt normal, miraculous, until Ethan's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. H. Harlan." Ethan showed Max, pulse quickening. "Block him." "Nah. Hear him out. Closure's a two-way street." The call came that afternoon, as they thawed in a diner booth over grilled cheese and tomato soup. Harlan's voice was gruff, stripped bare. "Son, I owe you an apology. Meant what I said in the garage, but it was fear talking. Fear of losing you, of what folks would say." Ethan's grip tightened on the formica table. Folks? Or God? A heavy sigh. Both, I guess. Camp was a mistake, mine. Saw a therapist last year, after the doc said my blood pressure'd kill me if I didn't face my demons. Turns out I got a few. About you. About Max. Max leaned in, listening on speaker. His jaw clenched, but he stayed silent. "I'm asking, no begging for a chance. Come for New Year's. Evelyn's set a place. Bring Max. Let me try." Ethan searched Max's face. The diner hummed around them. Waitresses calling orders, the sizzle of fries. But in that booth, time suspended. Max's nod was slight, but it was there. "Okay, Dad. But no bullshit. This is us. Take it or leave it. Deal." Harlan's relief crackled through the line. "Proud of you, boy. Always was." Hanging up, Ethan exhaled, the weight lifting another inch. Max squeezed his knee under the table. "Brave man." "You're the brave one," Ethan countered. "Facing the monster who broke you." Max's grin was crooked. "Monsters bleed too." The weeks blurred into a tentative thaw. Work pulled them under Ethan's overtime welding chassis for the holiday rush. Max diagnosing a fleet of Ubers with busted transmissions. Evenings were theirs. Cooking pasta Alfredo from a YouTube recipe, disastrous but delicious. Dancing to Motown in the kitchen. Making plans etched in marker on a fridge calendar. Garage fund, $500 saved. Wedding venue scout, June 15th. But doubts crept in like drafts through cracked windows. Ethan dreamed of the camp. Cold bunks, counselors' sneers, the zap of electricity that left him twitching. Woke sweating, Max's arms his lifeline. Max had nightmares too, murmuring apologies in his sleep, fists clenched against phantoms. One night in early January, after a brutal shift, they argued, the first real one. Ethan came home to find Max on the couch, staring at a faded photo from the barn loft, the one they dug up from an old shoebox in Harlan's attic during their uninvited raid. "You kept this?" Ethan asked, shedding his coveralls. Max nodded, voice thick. "Proof we were real, before they tried to erase us." Ethan's temper flared, exhaustion fueling the fire. "And now? You're still letting him in your head. We go back there, it'll rip you open again." Max shot up, eyes flashing. "Me? You're the one jumping at every call from Mommy Dearest. This ain't just your redemption tour, Eth." The words hung sharp as shears. Ethan paced, boots thudding on the linoleum. "I know, but if we don't face it, it owns us. Forever." Silence stretched, taut as a snapped cable. Then Max deflated, pulling him close. "You're right. Sorry. Just scared." "Me too." They held on, breath sinking, the photo fluttering to the floor like a white flag. New Year's Eve arrived with a vengeance. Sub-zero winds whipping off the lake, the city pulsing with fireworks and promise. They drove south again, the Impala packed with optimism. A bottle of decent Merlot, Max's snickerdoodles from Evelyn's recipe, burnt edges and all. A playlist of Bruce and Bon Jovi to steal their nerves. Elmwood Heights glittered under fresh snow, the Hargrove house strung with subdued lights. No inflatables this time, just a simple wreath on the door. Evelyn greeted them with hugs that lingered, her eyes red-rimmed but bright. "You came. Oh, boys." Harlan waited in the living room, hands shoved in his cardigan pockets, a far cry from the bellowing patriarch. "Max, Ethan." He extended a hand, awkward, formal. Max took it, grip firm. Good to see you upright, uncle. Harlan winced but nodded. Likewise. Dinner was roast beef and Yorkshire puddings, conversation navigating minefields with care. Evelyn steered toward neutral ground. Ethan's welding certification, Max's aunt and Gary who'd just adopted a rescue pup. Harlan listened more than spoke, his questions halting but genuine. That shop idea sounds solid. Need startup capital? I got some savings. Ethan blinked, fork pausing midair. You serious? Harlan met his gaze. Earned it the hard way. Figure you have too. As midnight neared, the four of them bundled onto the back porch, breath clouding in the chill. Fireworks bloomed over the fields. Amateur bursts from neighbors, distant pops from Des Moines. Evelyn popped the cork on the Merlot, toasting to new beginnings. But as the clock struck 12, Harlan pulled Max aside, voices low against the crackle of spent fuses. Ethan watched from the railing, Evelyn at his side, her hand tentative on his arm. You forgive me? Harlan asked, voice rough as gravel. Max considered, stars wheeling overhead. Not yet, but I'm willing to try. For him. Harlan nodded, tears freezing on his lashes. Fair enough. Thank you for bringing him home. Inside, confetti and kisses, but the rail spark was quieter. Ethan and Max stealing away to the old hayloft, now a storage shed cluttered with holiday bins. They kissed under the rafters, snow sifting through cracks, the past a shadow but no longer a chain. Back in Chicago, the new year unfurled with momentum. The shop lease signed, a gritty bay in Humboldt Park, tools scavenged from auctions. Customers trickled in. Queer couples with beaters needing tune-ups, activists hauling floats for pride. Home was sanctuary. Walls painted sky blue, a king bed squeezed into the corner, photos of the river pinned above it. Spring brought proposals. Max on one knee in the shop's grease pit, ring pilfered from a junked Buick's ashtray, polished to gleam. Marry me, Hargrove? Make an honest mechanic out of me. Ethan's yes was a whoop that echoed off the lift. They called Evelyn first. She cried, Harlan grunted approval in the background. But harmony's a fragile engine. Cracks showed in May, when Aunt Clara's letter arrived. Poison pen dipped in piety. Harlan's heart attack last night. Stress, Doc says. You're doing, boys. Blood on your hands. Ethan's world tilted. Harlan, felled by the very confrontation they'd forced. Guilt crashed like a seized piston. The hospital in Cedar Rapids smelled of bleach and bad coffee, the kind that could strip paint from walls. Ethan paced the linoleum corridor, third shift shadows under his eyes, Max a steady wall at his side. They'd burned rubber from Chicago at dawn, the Impala's engine protesting the 8-hour haul like it sensed the dread. Evelyn met them at the ICU doors, face gaunt under fluorescent buzz, clutching a styrofoam cup like a lifeline. He asked for you, she said, voice a thread. Both of you. Ethan's stomach nodded. How bad? Congestive heart failure. They stent him, but he's weak. Talking legacy. Her eyes, puffy from tears, flicked to Max. He mentioned you. Said unfinished business. Max's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Let's go. Harlan lay propped in the bed, a husk of the man who'd once commanded assemblies with a glare. Tubes snaked from his nose, monitors beeping a somber rhythm. His eyes, milky but sharp, locked on them as they entered. Knew you'd come, he rasped, voice amplified by oxygen. Ethan pulled up a chair, Max hanging back by the window where rain pattered against the glass. Scare us like that again, old man, and I'll weld your recliner shut. Harlan's chuckle dissolved into a cough. Fair. Listen, son. I ain't got poetry in me, but I need to say it. He glanced at Max, the room shrinking to the space between them. I was wrong. About everything. The camp, the lies. Thought I was saving you from hell, from whispers. Turns out, I built the fire myself. Max stepped forward, arms crossed, but his voice was even. Why, Harlan? Why us? Harlan's gaze drifted to the 4 drip, drops falling like confessions. My old man, your granddad, beat the queer outta his brother in the 50s. Locked him in the barn, hose and all. Uncle Tommy hung himself after. I swore I'd never. But fear's a bastard. It twists good intentions into knots. The revelation landed like a torque wrench to the gut. Ethan had heard whispers of great Uncle Tommy, the sensitive one who'd run off to the city. But never the truth. Max's face paled, the scar on his cheek stark against flushed skin. So it was generational poison. You chose to drink deep. Harlan nodded, tears carving tracks down weathered cheeks. Yeah, and it poisoned us all. Ethan, I disowned you, 'cause I couldn't face my own mirror. Max, I shipped you off, 'cause you reminded me of Tommy. Too bright, too bold for this dirt road life. He reached out a trembling hand. Forgive an old fool? Ethan took it, calluses rough against hospital soft skin. Working on it, Dad. But yeah, maybe. Max hesitated, then clasped the other hand. Water under the bridge. Just don't waste the time you got left. They stayed till evening, Evelyn dozing in the vinyl chair, the four of them forging fragile bonds over vending machine sandwiches and Harlan's halting stories. Vietnam foxholes. First date with Evelyn under a harvest moon. The terror of Ethan's coming out. Laughter cracked through the grief, tentative as spring ice. Driving back, Ethan and Max stopped at a roadside diner. Neon sign flickering open 24/7. Over pie and black coffee, the wait settled. He meant it, Ethan said, fork scraping crust. The apology. Max nodded, stirring sugar into his mug. Yeah, but forgiveness ain't a switch. It's mileage. They made love that night in a Super 8 I-80, the room smelling of Lysol and anonymity. Rain drumming the roof like applause. It was fierce, reclaiming. Nails raking backs, gasps swallowed in the dark. Afterward, Ethan traced Max's ribs, counting the stories etched there. Marry me tomorrow? Skip the fuss. Max's laugh rumbled. Vegas. Chicago. City Hall. Just us and the clerk. Deal. But life, that capricious mechanic, had other plans. Harlan stabilized, discharged with a fistful of pills and a referral to a queer-affirming therapist in Des Moines. Evelyn's idea, he grumbled over the phone. The shop thrived, word of mouth bringing in a rush. A lesbian couple's Subaru with a pride flag bumper sticker. A trans kid's Civic tuned for track days. Ethan and Max worked shoulder to shoulder, grease monkey harmony, stealing kisses over carburetors. June wedding crept up, a low-key affair in a Pilsen courtyard, string lights, tacos from the truck, 30 friends in thrift store finery. Evelyn and Harlan flew in, he in a ill-fitting suit, she beaming with a cake iced in rainbow swirls. Vows exchanged under a mural of Frida Kahlo. Ethan's, I choose you, every breakdown and breakthrough. Max's, you're my forever pit stop. The reception was a blur of toasts and two-stepping to Sweet Caroline. Harlan even clapping along. His nod to Max a silent welcome. But as fireworks popped over the skyline, courtesy of a neighbor's stash, Uncle Ray cornered Ethan by the keg cooler, bourbon breath hot. This circus? Your dad's grave. Heart can't take the shame. Ethan's buzz soured. Shame's yours, Uncle. Not his. Ray sneered, face purple. Fairy tales don't last. You'll drag that Riley trash down with you. Max overheard, appearing like a shadow, hand on Ethan's shoulder. Walk away, Ray, before I make you. Ray lumbered off, muttering scripture, but the seed was planted. Whispers followed. Church ladies side-eyeing at the airport, Harlan's golf buddies texting concern trolls. Pressure mounted, subtle as a slow leak. July brought heat waves and Harlan's second scare. A mild stroke during a therapy session, words slurring for days. Evelyn called in hysterics. He's fighting, but the guilt, it's eating him. Ethan flew solo, Max minding the shop through a brutal parts shortage. In the rehab center, Harlan gripped his hand, speech therapy thick. Proud of you. Don't let Ray. But Ray escalated. Letters to the Elmwood Gazette. Anonymous op-eds decrying the Hargrove family's moral decay. Church petitions to oust Harlan from the deacons. Evelyn confessed over coffee in the cafeteria. It's tearing him apart. He wants to make amends publicly. But the town's turning. Ethan's resolve hardened. Then we go bigger. Pride in Des Moines. Harlan marches with us. Evelyn blanched. He'd be crucified. Better crucified for love than buried in hate. Harlan agreed. Frail but fierce. August 15th, Iowa Pride. Rainbow flags snapping in the wind. Floats blaring Lady Gaga. A sea of bodies unapologetic. Ethan and Max led the family contingent. Evelyn in a Love Wins tee. Harlan in a wheelchair pushed by Ray, coerced by guilt. The route wound through downtown, past the courthouse where Harlan had once sentenced deviants. Now cheering queer youth. Crowds parted for them. Chants of love is love thundering. Harlan raised a shaky fist, voice amplified by a megaphone Evelyn held. I was wrong. My son, his husband, they're the best of me. Forgive me? The roar was deafening. Applause, tears, a trans activist hugging his neck. But Ray lagged, face thunderous, peeling off midway with a hissed, this ends now. That night, motel revelry. Beers cracked, stories swapped with parade strangers. Harlan pulled Max aside on the balcony, city lights sprawling below. You saved us, kid. Gave me balls to face it. Max clinked bottles. Nah, love did that. Back in Chicago, euphoria faded to fallout. Ray's betrayal brewed. Leaked emails from the church board. Doctored photos of Ethan and Max from the wedding. Captioned Sodom in Elmwood. Harlan's blood pressure spiked. Doctors warned of another event. September storm hit literal and figurative. Hurricane remnants flooding the shop basement. Tools ruined. Insurance a nightmare. Amid the mop-up, Ethan's phone rang. Evelyn, sobbing. Ray poisoned Harlan's meds. Not enough to kill, but he's coding. Come quick. They raced south, Impala hydroplaning through sheets of rain. Hospital again, defibrillators whining, doctors barking. Ray in cuffs outside, arrested for attempted murder. His confession a rant about saving souls from abomination. Harlan pulled through, barely, ICU vigil, machines breathing for him. Ethan confronted Ray in the waiting room, Max restraining him from swinging. Why, you bastard? He was your brother. Ray's eyes were wild, unrepentant. You corrupted him. That Riley devil, Tommy's curse reborn. I fixed it. The pieces clicked. Ray's jealousy, buried since Vietnam when Harlan got the medals. His own repressed rage, projected onto them. A family skeleton rattling free. Harlan woke 2 days later, tubes fewer, voice a whisper. Knew. It was him. Always jealous. To Ethan and Max, clustered at his bedside. Don't. Hate. Heal. But healing fractured. Evelyn spiraled, therapy, pills, a separation from the church that had become her cage. Ethan and Max rebuilt the shop, community crowdfunding the losses, but nights were haunted. Arguments over trust, fears of more Rays lurking. October brought a fragile peace. Harlan home, rehab slow but steady, Ray facing trial. They hosted Thanksgiving in Chicago, a potluck of chosen family. Welders, mechanics, a rabbi from the synagogue down the block. Harlan carved the turkey, hands steadier, toasting to kin, blood and otherwise. Yet under the laughter, currents ran deep. Max confided one night, post-feast cleanup as Ethan scrubbed pots. Sometimes I wonder if we're cursed. Every step forward, a shove back. Ethan dried his hands, pulling him close. Nah, we're the wrench in the works. Unbreakable. November chilled, leaves skittering like warnings. Harlan's call came mid-shift. Trial starts Monday. Be there. For me. They drove, the Impala's heater blasting against frost. Courthouse steps thronged with reporters, local man accused in family poisoning. Gay rights angle? Ray's defense. Temporary insanity. Moral panic. Prosecution painted the sabotage. Motive rooted in homophobia. Evidence irrefutable. Testimony gutted them. Evelyn on the stand, voice quavering. My brother-in-law couldn't abide my son's happiness. It mirrored his own darkness. Harlan, wheeled in, confronting Ray. You were my blood. This betrayal. Ray's breakdown was spectacle. Sobbing pleas of, I saved you from hell. Conviction swift. 10 years minimum security. Outside, post-verdict, press swarmed. Ethan shielded Harlan, Max barking at Mike's. But a reporter's question pierced. Mr. Hargrove, does this vindicate your family's journey? Harlan paused, rain-slick steps gleaming. Vindicate? No, teaches. Love wins ugly sometimes. But it wins. The headline ran national. Homophobic plot foiled. Family finds redemption in Rainbow Wake. Fame's double-edged. Donations flooded the shop. Book offers for Evelyn's memoir. But privacy eroded. Stalkers at the door. Slurs spray-painted on the bay. Max hardened, pulling away. Ethan chased, bridging the gap with date nights at the Art Institute, sketching nudes that made them blush. December loomed, anniversary of the crash. Invites went out. Christmas at Elmwood, full circle. Harlan insisted, no more ghosts. But as snow dusted the city, a letter arrived. Anonymous, postmarked Gary. You think it's over? Ray had help. Watch your backs. Paranoia bloomed. Who? Church holdouts? Ray's cronies? The wedding of their lives teetered on this knife's edge. The letter burned a hole in Ethan's pocket all week. Its block letters a taunt. Tick-tock, lovebirds. Secrets die hard. He showed Max over dinner. Spaghetti from a jar, candles flickering against the chill seeping through the window. Max's face darkened, fork clattering to the plate. Ray's cell block poetry, he muttered. Or worse. Ethan nodded, appetite gone. We tell Harlan? Not yet. He'll spiral. Focus on the shop, the holiday. Let cops handle it. But sleep fractured. Nightmares blending Ray's leer with shadowy figures in the barn. The shop became fortress. Deadbolts added, security cams wired to Max's phone. Customers noticed the edge. Everything kosher, bosses? And Ethan forced smiles, welding seams with extra care, as if precision could seal their world shut. Evelyn called daily, voice buoyant with plans. Mulled wine, boys, and a Yule log cake. Chocolate, gluten-free for Harlan's diet. She was blooming, therapy unraveling the knots of complicity. Her love without limits support group a lifeline. Harlan, too, physical therapy rebuilding strength. Weekly Zooms with a queer vet circle cracking his shell. Your old man's learning drag slang, he joke. Slay queen. Yet the threat loomed, a specter at the feast. December 20th, they loaded the Impala. Gifts wrapped in newsprint. Shop aprons monogrammed R&H. Max's famous venison stew in a cooler. The letter tucked in the dash like contraband. Chicago's skyline receded in the rearview. Lake Michigan, a steel-gray expanse mirroring their unease. The drive south was tense, radio scanning static storms. Max broke ice. Remember our first road trip? That crap motel in Indiana? Bedbugs and all. Ethan grinned, hand on his thigh. Best ditch ever. Woke up married to the sunrise. Laughter eased the miles, but Elmwood Heights greeted with omens. Skies bruised purple, wind whipping bare branches like accusations. The Hargrove house glowed defiant. Wreath doubled. Lights synced to carol of the bells. Evelyn enveloped them in flower-dusted hugs, aprons smeared with cranberry relish. My heroes. Harlan's in the den, being grumpy about his new cane. Harlan rose as they entered, leaner but upright. The cane a concession carved with eagles. Marine pride. Gents. Handshakes evolved to shoulder claps, his eyes lingering on their matching wedding bands. Looks good on you. Dinner prep was ritual. Evelyn bossing the kitchen, Max chopping onions with theatrical flair, Ethan and Harlan tackling the bird. Awkwardness lingered. Harlan's passed the giblets, met with Max's dry, don't get fresh. But warmth crept in, fortified by spiked cider. As dusk fell, snow flurried soft, blanketing the yard in hush. They gathered in the living room, fire crackling, tree ornaments glinting like captured stars. Gifts exchanged early. Evelyn's knitted scarves, queer colors, pink and teal. Harlan's engraved multi-tool, for the shop. Dad's old one. Ethan and Max's joint gift. A framed photo from Pride. Harlan mid-wave. Crowd blurred in joy. Harlan cleared his throat. Cane tapping rhythm. Got something too. Not wrapped. He hobbled to the mantel, retrieving a manila envelope yellowed with age. Found this in the attic. Tommy's letters. To me before he. Well. The room stilled. Ethan took it, hands steady, unfolding pages brittle as autumn leaves. Tommy's script looped elegant. Little brother, don't let fear chain you. Love who you love. It's God's wildest grace. Postmarks from San Francisco, 1952. Cafes and Castro whispers. Harlan's voice thickened. Burned the replies. Afraid it'd taint us. Now, want you to have M. Full circle. Max read over Ethan's shoulder, breath-catching. He fought back. Marched in Frisco, they say. Evelyn dabbed eyes. We'll frame one. For the shop. Toasts followed, cider raised to ghosts laid to rest. But as laughter peaked, the doorbell chimed, sharp as a snapped wire. Evelyn frowned. No one's due till tomorrow. Harlan peered through the curtain, face draining. Ray. Impossible. But there he stood on the porch, gaunt in prison orange peeking under a coat, flanked by 2 deputies, snow dusting his buzz cut. Bail, pending appeal, some legal loophole technicality on the poisoning charge. Evelyn gasped, crossing to the door on autopilot. Raymond? What? Ev. Harlan. Ray's voice slurred, eyes bloodshot, the coat reeking of cheap motel and cheaper whiskey. Deputies hovered, procedural. Hearing tomorrow. Need a bed. Family duty. Harlan's cane clattered. You tried to kill me, you son of a... Family? Ray spat, stepping in uninvited. Gaze raking Ethan and Max like shrapnel. Look at this sodomy circus. Tommy's curse. Alive. Max surged forward, Ethan grabbing his arm. Out. Now. But Ray lunged. Envelope snatched from Ethan's hand. Pages scattering like confetti from hell. Lies. All lies to justify your filth. He tore them, fragments fluttering into the fire. Tommy's words curling black. Chaos erupted. Harlan shouting, cane swinging wild. Evelyn wailing, clutching at Ray. Deputies barking stand down. Max tackled him, pinning to the rug, fist cocked. Enough! Ethan pulled him off, heart thunderous. Don't. He's not worth the cage. Deputies hauled Ray out, cuffs clicking fresh, his curses echoing into the night. You'll burn! All of you! The door slammed, sealing silence. Snow muffled the world outside, but inside, devastation reigned. Harlan sank into his chair, face ashen, clutching a singed scrap. Evelyn sobbed on the hearth, soot-streaked. Max paced, knuckles bruised, breath ragged. Ethan knelt by the fire, salvaging what he could. Half a page, ink blurred but legible. Fear not, Harlan. Love endures. We rebuild, he said, voice steel. Again. That night no one slept. Harlan and Evelyn in their room, murmurs of divorce papers. Max and Ethan on the guest bed, bodies close but minds adrift. This place, Max whispered, it's a minefield. Ethan traced his jaw. Then we defuse it. Together. Dawn brought cops, statements taken. Ray remanded. But the damage festered. Harlan's BP spiked. Ambulance wailing by noon. Back to ICU, monitors beeping dirge. Evelyn stayed. Ethan and Max driving aimless. Ending at the Cedar River. Frozen banks. The spot of their first kiss. They walked the ice-fringed path. Breath clouds mingling. Run, Max asked, half-joking. To Canada? Mexico? Ethan stopped, turning him. No. Fight. For him. For us. Max's eyes searched his vulnerability raw. Love you, but if it breaks you. Won't. Kiss sealed it, fierce against the wind. Harlan rallied by Christmas Eve, transferred to a step-down unit. They gathered bedside. Evelyn with carols on her phone. Max sneaking in contraband eggnog. Harlan, doped on morphine, grinned lopsided. Worst holiday ever. Best company. Gifts exchanged. A new envelope. Harlan's will revised. Shop inheritance. Land for their future kid. No ghosts, he murmured. Just family. Ray's appeal denied that week. Full sentence, solitary for threats. But the letter's shadow lingered. Who helped? Church whispers pointed to Deacon Ellis, Ray's golf crony, indicted for harassment. Christmas morning, discharged early against Doc's advice, Harlan insisted on home. The house, once sanctuary, felt besieged. Lights dimmed, wreath askew. They cooked anyway. Turkey charred at edges, pie lopsided. Toasts to resilience, laughter brittle but real. Yet climax brewed in the den post-dinner haze. Harlan, cane aside, pulled them into a huddle. Evelyn too. One last confession. His voice steadied. The camps? I funded him. Anonymous donor, tax write-off. Thought it saved souls. Silence deafened. Ethan's vision tunneled. Betrayal fresh as the first cut. Max's hand crushed his, knuckles white. Why tell now? Evelyn breathed, horrified. 'Cause secrets kill slower than poison. Harlan met their eyes. Hate me, but know it. Then let it go. Ethan stood, chair scraping. Go? You profited off our pain. Max rose, anchoring him. No. Fury crested, years boiling over. You played God. With our lives. Harlan didn't flinch. I did. And I'd undo it 1,000 times. But anger chains you. I know. The room spun. Fireplace glow mocking the chill. Evelyn pleaded. Tears fresh. Max pulled Ethan to the porch. Snow falling thick. Muffling sobs. He's dying, babe. This is his Hail Mary. Ethan punched the railing with splintering. Doesn't absolve shit. No. But it frees us. They returned, air electric. Ethan faced Harlan, voice raw. I forgive you. For me. Not you. Harlan nodded, tears spilling. Enough. Hugs followed, awkward, profound. Evelyn's silent night played soft, the family mending mid-fracture. But betrayal's echo lingered, a low hum under joy. As they drove north next morn, gifts in tow, Max voiced the unspoken. Think it's truly over? Ethan glanced back at the receding house, snow-veiled. For now. But love's a long haul. Chicago welcomed with slush and sirens. The shop a beacon. New Year's loomed, plans for expansion. Queer youth apprenticeships. Tommy's letters digitized for a wall of honor. Yet February frosted the peace. Deacon Ellis's trial exposed a network. Church funds siphoned to anti-gay ministries. Ray the patsy. Evelyn testified, voice steel. My family's pain? Your profit. Convictions rolled, headlines fading. Harlan thrived, visiting spring. Golf with Ethan, shop tours with Max, call me Gramps, he joked, eyeing bellies not yet round. Summer wedding anniversary. Vows renewed Riverside, Harlan officiating impromptu, Evelyn scattering petals. Life normalized. Adoption papers filed for a foster boy named Jamie, 10 and terrified. But autumn unearthed the final twist. A box from Ray's cell, smuggled pre-recidivism. Inside, Tommy's full journal, preserved by a sympathetic guard. Pages of love, loss, a plea to Harlan. Break the cycle, brother. They read by firelight, Jamie asleep upstairs. He did, Ethan whispered. Max nodded, arm around him. We all did. October winds stripped the oaks bare. Leaves cartwheeling across the shop lot like freed regrets. Ethan locked up late, fluorescent buzz fading as he wiped grease from his hands. The air sharp with impending frost. Jamie's voice echoed from the apartment above. Dad! Max! Pizza's here. A reminder of the life they'd forged from fractures. Max met him at the stairs, flour dusted from helping with dessert, their kiss tasting of pepperoni and promise. Dinner was chaos. Jamie, all gangly limbs and gap-toothed grins, regaling them with school tales. A science fair volcano that erupted too soon. A crush on the art teacher who paints rainbows, like you guys. Ethan caught Max's eye over the box, Heart full. This was redemption's quiet roar. Harlan and Evelyn arrived next morn for weekend custody swap. Retired life treating them to RV jaunts and grandparent spoiling. Harlan, cane obsolete, clapped Ethan on the back. Shop's humming. That boy's a natural with a wrench. Jamie beamed, hugging loose. Bye, Gramps. Bring fudge next time. Evelyn lingered, slipping Ethan a check. For the college fund. No arguments. Her eyes, once shadowed, sparkled with the peace of purpose. Her support group now a nonprofit, Hearts Unchained, aiding ex-gay survivors. As they waved off the RV, Max slung an arm around Ethan. Family's weird, the good kind. But the journal's weight pressed. Tommy's words, transcribed and bound, sat on the mantel. A talisman. Ethan read passages aloud some nights, Jamie wide-eyed. Love isn't sin, brother. It's the spark God lit first. The boy absorbed it, asking, was Gramps bad once? Ethan chose truth, gentle. He was scared, like we all get, but he learned. November thawed old scars further. Ray's appeal exhausted. Life sentence in a Loisac upstate. Letters ceased, replaced by a single card. Rot in hell, deviance. Tossed unread. Harlan's checkup cleared. Heart steady, soul lighter. Therapy's a bitch. He confessed over Thanksgiving turkey. Hosted in Chicago this year. Tables groaning with potluck bounty. But facing the devil in the mirror? Worth it. Jamie carved with him, knife steady under guidance. You're okay, Gramps. Harlan ruffled his hair. Says the expert. Laughter flowed, wine loosening tongues. Evelyn shared her manuscript draft. From ashes to allies. Pages raw with complicity and grace. Max toasted her. To the women who rewrite the rules. December crept in, anniversary shadowed by memory. They planned small. Tree trimming with Jamie, lights strung on the shop's roll-up door, a river picnic echoing youth. But Harlan called midweek, voice grave. Found something. In the barn. Come see. The drive was meditative, snow-dusting fields, radio soft with River by Joni. Elmwood Heights slumbered under white, the ranch house a lantern. Harlan waited in the yard, breath clouding, a thermos of coffee steaming. Attic clean-out, he explained, leading to the barn, sagging now but sturdy. Up the ladder, dust motes dancing in flashlight beam. He pointed to a loose floorboard. Pride-free. A lockbox, rusted, initials TH etched faint. Tommy's. Inside, photos, him arm in arm with a sailor, grins defiant. Letters from Harlan, unsent apologies yellowed. A will leaving land to whomever dares love freely. Harlan's hands shook. Hid it after he died. Couldn't bear it. Ethan traced the photos, Max at his shoulder. He knew you'd find your way. They sat on hay bales, coffee bittersweet, stories spilling. Tommy's jazz records smuggled from the city, dances in secret basements. Harlan wept openly, first time Ethan saw. Should have burned the hate, not the letters. Max clasped his shoulder. You fixed it. That's the win. Back home, the box became heirloom, photos framed for Jamie's room, Will's land deeded to the shop's expansion. A community center, Tommy's haven, for LGBTQ plus youth trades training. Christmas Eve mirrored the first. Snow swirling, Impala crunching gravel. But this time, invited doors flung wide. Evelyn's embrace fierce. Jamie dashed in, arms laden with cookies. Harlan scooped him up, cane forgotten. Dinner was symphony. Venison alongside turkey, Max's recipe honored. Toasts layered deep. Evelyn to second chances. Jamie to best dads ever. Harlan to the loves that saved me. Mid-meal, the bell expected this time. Not Ray, but the church choir, unannounced, caroling O Holy Night under porch light. Pastor Lena, Evelyn's group ally, front and center. Redemption's a village effort. They sang inside, voices blending rough and pure, firelight gilding faces. Harlan joined tenor, off-key but earnest. Later, porch vigil. Stars pricking velvet sky, breaths sinking in cold. Ethan and Max leaned on the rail, hands entwined, Jamie between Harlan and Evelyn, yawning at Firefly's ghosts. "Full circle," Max murmured. Ethan nodded, kissing his temple. "And just beginning. But drama's not linear. It circles, tests." New Year's dawned crisp. Resolutions whispered. Jamie's "learn guitar." Evelyn's "publish the damn book." The party swelled, chosen kin from Chicago, Elmwood stragglers thawed by time. Fireworks at midnight, but climax crested personal. Harlan pulling Ethan aside, box in hand. "One more. For you too. Deed to the family farm. Acres for their dreams. Tiny home cluster for foster alums. Shop satellite. Build what I couldn't." Tears stung. "Dad. Love you, son. Proud." Hugs cascaded, the night electric with possibility. Spring bloomed vengeful sweet. Ellis's network crumbled, convictions stacking like dominoes. Hearts Unchained broke ground on a Des Moines center, Evelyn ribbon-cutting, Harlan at her side. Jamie's adoption finalized, courtroom tears, judge's gavel a grace note. "Brothers forever," he pledged, hugging Max. Summer sweltered, shop thriving. Apprentices wrenching under Ethan, Max teaching ethics, fix fair, love fierce. Wedding vow renewal at the river, Jamie ringbearer, Harlan best man. These men? My heroes. Fall harvested bounty. Book launch from Ash's bestseller in LGBTQ+ memoirs. Tours with Evelyn, Harlan heckling gently. Winter closed the year, Christmas redux. Bigger, bolder, Tommy's Haven lit aglow, youth caroling originals. Ray's death in spring, heart, ironic, brought no glee, just closure. Ashes scattered anonymous. A decade blurred. Jamie off to trade school. Gray at temples for Ethan and Max shop empire. Franchises in Milwaukee, Omaha. Grandkids, Jamie's twins, toddling underfoot. Harlan's passing at 92, peaceful in sleep, Evelyn beside. Funeral standing room. Marines saluting, youth chanting thanks. Eulogy Ethan's. He broke chains. We wear the links as crowns. Graveside. Max's hand in his. Full stop. Ethan smiled, snow soft. Nah. Epilogue. They drove home, Impala creaking wise, Chicago lights welcoming. Love, that enduring engine, hummed on, dramatic, emotional, romantic, human to the core. In America's heartland, where winters bite but springs insist, they endured. Not unbroken, but beautifully bent.